Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and the Doc coming back at you today. And you know, this is going to be a little bit of a different show now. Ethan was convinced that we did this show last year, but I am convinced that he cheated on me at some point and did this show somewhere else, because today we're talking about out with the old, in with the new, some rookies who are replacing some vets, Ethan. And yeah, I went back and looked. I hadn't seen us do a video like this.
You know, that's really sad because it's a great video idea. And I really thought in my head, we recorded this. So you claim that we post every video that we record,
Yep.
But I don't believe you. I feel like we did this last year and you're full of it.
I have the memory of like an elephant. Like I never forget things like that.
Well, you have a lot of things in common with elephants.
So I've been told. Been told. Now we're going to go ahead and start off here real quick with a little bit of housekeeping, because the last time we had you on here, Doc, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, you were going to give away a free rookie guide to somebody in the comment section that left a comment on who they were most worried about. You said you'd pick one. This is due to injuries, and it's going to be Christopher Kress. Now, he's got an interesting comment. I'm going to read it here too, because this is the one that you picked. It says, I'm most concerned about Jake Hubman. That would be me. He's had multiple knee injuries. Also true. Is entering the league later than one would like. Also true. He went undrafted. Also true. I know the man has got talent, but once he gets signed, will he be able to stay healthy? So Christopher Kress, you need to email me at info@thefantasyheadliners.com. There's a link down below, and I'll get your information over to Ethan so he can hook you up with a free rookie injury draft guide, which is for sale right now on thefantasyheadliners.com. Any information you're looking for these incoming rookies and their injury history, Ethan has you covered. And if that's something you have coming up, maybe a rookie draft, you got to get the rookie injury guide for sure. But like I mentioned at the start, we're talking about out with the old and in with the new, Ethan. So we're going to talk about some incoming rookies that are displacing. I guess some of these guys are more veteran than others, but some of these guys just losing some of their roles to some of these new incoming guys.
Yeah, and this is something that I over in the past have made this. It's the idea that sometimes teams replace players with rookies that just do everything that player that they had does, but just like better. They're just better than the player that they had. And so we see this all the time where, oh, this guy gets drafted. He has a very similar skill set to this other guy that's still on the team, but he's a lot better at the stuff that guy does. So it's the idea of trying to figure out, one, where these rookies fit into offenses from a role standpoint, but also which veterans do we need to be avoiding, because most likely they're going to get relegated to non-fantasy relevance. They shouldn't be really drafted or thought about because this new guy has come in and they're going to replace them.
Perfect. Well, let's go ahead and start off with a big name, at least on the rookie side of things. Ken Walker, I guess is what we're going to call him now. It's Ken Walker, Kenneth Walker, and Chris Carson. Now, Chris Carson has been a thing in Seattle for a while. I remember we used to joke that, you know, Pete Carroll has to have some information, or he's got to have some information on Pete Carroll, because no matter what happened, Chris Carson just always seemed to get some work. And unfortunately, he's just gone down that injured path to where it doesn't sound like he's going to be able to make it back. And now Kenneth Walker, the running back of the future in Seattle, he's got to deal with Rashad Penny this year, though. But we all have to think that going forward, Kenneth Walker is going to be the guy at least 2023 and beyond.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Kenneth Walker. First off, you mentioned Chris Carson. That's the role I think that he's going to come in and replace immediately. Carson's coming off this major neck surgery. We're not even sure if he's going to return at all. They've been pretty not optimistic about it since it happened. So, and they're still not really coming out. And Pete Carroll is like the most optimistic head coach ever. So the fact that, you know, we still haven't heard really anything out of their, camp at all is not great. We don't want to see that. So the other thing is that Walker really does profile very similarly to the way that Carson did when he was going off for, 1,200-1,400 yards, the last a couple years ago. The thing is Kenneth Walker right now is a very pure runner. He's improving as a pass catcher. He can do that, I think, but it's not a strong suit. A strong suit is running between the tackles. And we know that this is a run heavy offense. It was a run heavy offense when they had Russell Wilson. So even though, Rashad Penny is still around, I think a healthy Walker is still going to get work. And the thing with Rashad Penny that I think we're kind of throwing, we're forgetting, I guess, in the fantasy community is that guy has only played in 10 games the last 2 seasons.
That's not very much.
Out of 33 possible games.
Wow.
So he's playing less than a third of the games over the last 2 seasons.
Not ideal.
19 of the last of 49 possible games if you go back 3 years. And Rashad Penny's only had 10 or more touches in 12 games as a pro. That's not bell cow gonna be the number one guy in an offense. That is, I think this move to draft Kenneth Walker says 2 things. They don't expect Chris Carson to be back healthy, and they don't think that Rashad Penny can hold up to a full workload. And I think if Rashad Penny gets relegated to more of that pass catching role, Kenneth Walker could easily eclipse 1,000 yards as a rookie on the ground, rushing probably 240 to 270 times.
I mean, and it kind of makes sense too with the offense there, whether it's Drew Lock, Geno Smith. That's not a type of offense that you want to rely heavily upon the quarterbacks. You're going to want to, run the ball, find somebody out of the backfield that you can dump it off to. Kenneth Walker, like you said, though, I mean, he's not really known for the pass catching, but neither was Chris Carson a couple years ago, but it was something that he worked on throughout his time in Seattle and slowly got better. So absolutely, Kenneth Walker could definitely fill the Chris Carson role. What about a wide receiver? How about Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel for the Washington Commandos?
Oh man, I'm still not.
Are you going commando?
You're
not going commando this year? No, okay.
Commandos. I don't know. Washington football team.
Manscaped.com. Cold word headliners. I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever you want to call them, It's fine.
Okay.
The thing with Dotson, he got the first round draft capital. That's something we're always looking for with wide receivers, especially. And the thing about his skill set that I think is really dangerous for a guy like Curtis Samuel is Dotson can really play both inside the slot and on the outside. He has that skill set. Even though he's got a smaller frame, he really does a great job of winning 50-50 balls. And so the main appeal of bringing in Curtis Samuel last year was that they wanted kind of a souped up slot guy that could also kick outside, play opposite of Terry McLaurin. But Curtis Samuel couldn't stay healthy. And that's something that we've seen in the past. If Samuel can't stay healthy again, Jahan Dotson, I think he has the speed. He has the versatility as far as where you can line him up. I think he's a really good complement for Terry McLaurin. And if something happens and McLaurin says, this is my last year, pay me, Jahan Dotson could easily step into a wide receiver. I won't say top 12 wide receiver role, but I think he's a pretty solid top 30 wide receiver as far as fantasy goes, if something were to happen to McLaurin. But either way, Curtis Samuel is kind of the third guy here. And I just don't really know how they're going to fit both of these guys into an offense that really isn't going to be amazing even with Carson Wentz, kind of being an upgrade at quarterback.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because when Curtis Samuel went to Washington with Ron Rivera, I'm like, okay, Carolina going back together. I'm going to like what they're going to do in Washington because they can really utilize his skill set. The guy just can't stay on the field. And at this point, when they go after a guy like Jahan Dotson, who still is pretty damn quick himself, I think you hit it on the head, though, with being able to play inside and outside. That's kind of going to be what spells the demise for Curtis Samuel because Jahan Dotson can do both. Okay, let's move on to Bills Mafia because they're always wanting to talk about their players. Everybody that signs in Buffalo is the greatest of all time to most of Bills Mafia. Now, James Cook was drafted by the Bills. So does this spell the demise for Devin Singletary / Zach Moss?
I think from a PPR perspective, yes. I think both Singletary and Moss are pretty well relegated to James Cook is an excellent pass catcher, and he showed it in college. He's got some juice, which I feel like, even though I think Devin Singletary is an underrated running talent, he doesn't really have juice. He doesn't really add that. This guy's going to threaten to take this to the house every time he touches it. And I think that's where James Cook is going to be utilized more out of the backfield to maybe break some plays open. I mean, has Zach Moss ever really been good ever?
Mm-mm.
I mean, I know people loved him coming out, but I was never on him.
Me neither.
His injury risk rating indicated that he would never really be successful. If you don't know what an injury risk rating is, you should buy my rookie guide.
Yeah.
It's one of the best predictors of fantasy success that we have. And it's just basically the likelihood that a player will get hurt. Zach Moss doesn't get hurt as often as some players do, but he's just not very good at football.
Yeah.
And so sometimes players that get hurt don't have time to develop and they don't really become very good at football. I do think Devin Singletary is still going to get some run on the ground, but I think what we're going to see is over the course of the year, we're going to see James Cook and the explosive plays are going to start showing up. And this is an offense that really wants to be explosive, both on the ground and through the air. So I think that James Cook complements what Josh Allen wants to do as far as, even downfield passing. You can split him out. He is a very, very talented pass catcher, and he just gives a lot more versatility to the backfield that Devin Singletary, Zach Moss just don't do. I mean, I think that by the end of this year, I feel like James Cook is going to probably be the running back that you want in this backfield.
Do you want to hear an interesting stat?
I always want to hear interesting
Perfect.
stats.
If you remove quarterback rush attempts, the Buffalo Bills had the second fewest amount of rush attempts in the NFL. Only people with less was the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Josh Allen, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, now James Cook. It's going to be a jumbled mess because I still think Josh Allen is the running back one in Buffalo. Yeah,
and I think that you're probably right, especially in the red zone.
Yeah.
I think that
the touchdowns
if they're trying to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
If they're trying to score touchdowns, I still feel like, Josh Allen gives them the best chance of
100%.
doing that. I'm not saying that's the smartest move. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen.
I feel like you said it's the smartest move, though.
Well,
I feel like you were like, hinting at that.
He's the best option to do that. But as far as keeping your quarterback healthy,
not the best option?
Maybe not the best option.
Okay. How about let's go out to New York. And this one we got two guys, same team. Going to start off with Garrett Wilson. Basically, in with the new, out with Corey Davis. Because Corey Davis was good for like a year in Tennessee a couple years ago. But Corey Davis just isn't that dude anymore. I mean, he had so much hype, coming out of the NFL draft. But Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, is a lot more complete wide receiver. And now that we have him and Elijah Moore, you got Braxton Berrios. We'll have another teammate here, Breece Hall, we'll talk about in a second. But Garrett Wilson kind of surpassing Corey Davis, I feel is a definite thing that's going to happen here in 2022.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson is going to come right in and probably be that outside wide receiver. Braxton Berrios I thought was impressive out of the slot, especially after Jamison Crowder got hurt last year. I feel like that's every year though, so it's not really saying much. Jamison Crowder's gone now, so I feel like Berrios has probably earned a chance to start in the slot. Elijah Moore is probably going to work in there too. Garrett Wilson really is he's a pretty raw prospect from just a talent standpoint, though. His ceiling is just so much higher than what Corey Davis is at this point in his career. I feel like he's got the juice to beat teams over the top. I think he's still developing as a route runner. He could end up being, a year or two from now, being one of the better route runners from this class if he continues to work on that, because he's so naturally athletically gifted, and he is great at catching footballs. So I do feel like Garrett Wilson is probably giving Corey Davis, he's probably giving the boot, honestly, in training camp. I doubt that Corey Davis is going to be a day one starter now that Garrett Wilson is in town.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mentioned Breece Hall, his teammate, right? Because now Breece Hall is there. We talked about Michael Carter. We were going to put Michael Carter here, but is he really out with the old? Because dude's only been in the league for a year. So then it went to Ty Johnson, and I wanted to include Tevin Coleman, but you have some deeply rooted feelings for Tevin Coleman, which means that you do not want to even say the name Tevin Coleman, I feel like.
No, because
I feel like he cheated. I feel like he stole your girl one day.
Is he like even a thing? Like, do people care about Tevin Coleman? Like, is that
not now?
Is he on fantasy teams? Like, I don't.
If he's on your fantasy team, you ain't winning.
I guess I don't understand. I mean, to me, the biggest thing, Ty Johnson, I feel like is the biggest loser.
Wow,
because,
that's nice.
Well,
what a loser.
I think what's happening and what's going to happen is that I think that Brees Hall steps into where Michael Carter was. Michael Carter steps into that Ty Johnson pass catching role, which granted he got because Michael Carter was hurt. But that's a role that could be pretty useful for fantasy. I mean, Ty Johnson, nobody wants to talk about it, but he got 55 targets last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of those came, in a few games. It wasn't like he, got a target here, a target there. I mean, looking at his game logs from last year, I mean, he had, his receiving targets. I mean, he had 7, 6, 8, 7. I mean, these are pretty high volume target out of the backfield, numbers. And we like to see that. This could be a good thing for Michael Carter if he does get that pass catching role, which is why I brought him up, because Brees Hall is a pretty good pass catcher himself, especially out of the backfield. I feel like this could be a situation where a year from now we're like, is Michael Carter really even a thing? Like, do we need to be rostering him? Is Brees Hall just totally going to take over? I'm not sure if he's quite that level of talent right now. I know people want him to be. It's a weak draft class, but I do think that Brees Hall showing up in this offense is good for fantasy because it does limit Michael Carter a little bit, but it also gives us now 2 running backs out of this offense that are potentially fantasy viable. So sorry, Ty Johnson, you're probably never going to see 55 targets in a season again.
Probably not. R.I.P. Ty
Coleman
Johnson
is an R.I.P. I'm not sure.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Tico Raw on Twitter.
If he even makes the team.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now, hey, we're going to try something new here real quick before we get into the last two. If you've made it this far in the video,
we love you.
Yes, we love you. Put hashtag in with the new down in the comment section. I'm going to randomly select one of you to give a free 2022 draft guide. I want to see who's paying attention through all these videos. So leave that hashtag down below. Next, Ethan. This one, we kind of broke the rules, but it's okay. We made the rules, so it's okay to break the rules, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you make it, you're allowed to break it.
Yeah, make it till you break it. That's the rule, right?
I thought it was fake it till you make it.
Well, we make the rules. So
All right,
now it's make it till you break it.
All right, perfect. Here we go. Drake London. Now, we put Russell Gage, but Russell Gage we know is no longer in Atlanta. He has moved on to Tampa Bay, but in reality, who else is freaking left as a wide receiver in Atlanta that we could really talk about replacing? I mean, Calvin Ridley we know is suspended for the year. Julio Jones has been long gone for over a year. There really wasn't a whole lot of options. So we said Russell Gage. Now, Russell Gage is definitely a guy who's gotten volume in this offense before. He's no longer there. Like I said, he's in Tampa Bay. Drake London coming in. So kind of out with the old and in with the new with Drake London.
Yeah, I think that the end goal is for Drake London to have I don't know if the plan, and we'll see what happens with Calvin Ridley. Who knows? If he comes back, I still think that they actually pair well together. Kyle Pitts is going to get his, but Russell Gage, I mean, they were relying heavily on him. He had 94 targets last year, but he wasn't very efficient with them. Only caught 66. I could see Drake London year one getting over 100 targets, especially with no Calvin Ridley. I mean, he could be in the 110, 120 range as far as targets go. And I think he's going to be more efficient as far as catching them. I don't know what his upside is going to look like from an offensive perspective. I just worry about what Marcus Mariota is really going to be able to do. Maybe Desmond Ridder, we'll see who ends up actually starting for this team. It could be a total mess at quarterback, but I think either way, Drake London coming in, he's going to immediately get that role. He's going to immediately have, redraft value, even as a rookie, maybe the most redraft value among the wide receivers that are rookies this year. And so I think it's worth talking about him. Maybe Jake, if we get like 500 likes, 300 likes, how many likes do we want to put on this?
What are you going to do?
I think we should maybe we do this with, free agents coming in that are replacing out with the old and with the new.
Okay.
But instead of rookies, we do free agents. What do you think?
So what if we can hit 350 likes?
350 likes.
We'll do that
Jake
video for him.
We'll do a video for the free agents coming into new spots, because now my wheels are turning a little bit.
Now we got you thinking a little bit. When the doc starts thinking, that's when good things happen. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Is it just me, or do you feel like the ceiling of Drake London would be higher with Ritter than Mariota? I kind of feel like it would be this year.
It's hard to say because I don't know how great. I like Desmond Ritter as a prospect. I don't know how much better he really is, like right this second, than Marcus Mariota. I feel like he's probably more willing to take risks, but I don't think that Mariota is like a horrible, quarterback option. I just don't think he's very sexy.
No.
Like Desmond Ritter, I think, admittedly, had a really great career at Cincinnati. So, I mean, we could have done. I don't know. I still think Mariota's going to end up starting most of this year.
I think if Mariota's the starter, Kyle Pitts is the higher ceiling guy. If it's Ritter, then I go London. But that's just my own personal way of looking at things, because when Marcus Mariota started before in Tennessee, Delaney Walker was a thing. And
yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, so that's what I'm going with. All right, last one. Big one, because a lot of people love themselves some Christian Watson. Like, a lot of people jumped on this hype train super early. So we're going to say Christian Watson in with the new and out with Allen Lazard in Green Bay, which is hard to say because there's not a whole lot of options in Green Bay right now. There's really not. So Allen Lazard is kind of one of the mainstays right now, and who could have some of the confidence of Aaron Rodgers, but Christian Watson is somebody who's going to come in and we know he has a path to immediate targets.
Yeah, and I think Christian Watson replacing Allen Lazard, is more about where they were after the Devontae Adams trade. After the Devontae Adams trade, we were seeing some Allen Lazard. They're probably going to draft a wide receiver, but right now Lazard is kind of the wide receiver one for like a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. I think Christian Watson walks in and is what Green Bay has been looking for seemingly years. First, it was the draft where they got like Equanimous St. Brown and Allen Lazard and MVS. What they were looking for was this really tall, fast wide receiver that could really stretch the field with Aaron Rodgers and be a great wide receiver too. And I think that Christian Watson is that. Now, I don't love that we got rid of the alpha wide receiver that would really unlock Christian Watson as a wide receiver too, which is where I think he slots in, at least as a rookie. But because we don't have Devontae Adams there is a huge vacuum of who is the wide receiver one on this team. And I feel like for a minute it was Allen Lazard, but now I feel like Christian Watson by the end of this year is going to be that. I don't know if he will have the consistency that people want, but as far as from a quarterback perspective, no wide receiver got a better quarterback, I don't think, for their skill set than what Christian Watson has.
I can agree with that. My biggest concern is with Aaron Rodgers. If Christian Watson goes out there and drops the ball, runs wrong routes, whatever. I mean, Aaron Rodgers can write off a rookie in a heartbeat. And once he does that, he just doesn't look their way, especially since technically they still got Randall Cobb on the roster, Allen Lazard there. So that's, to me, kind of like the X factor. Watson needs to come out and produce early. And if he can in the first couple weeks, watch out. This guy could have a big year, but there's kind of that little caveat in there for me personally. I think it's the first time I've said caveat in a video. And
caveat.
I mean, I feel like fancy right now. Damn.
Dude, you are so fancy.
I mean, like a jacket, like a sport coat or something. Caveat? I said caveat.
Gosh.
Wow, I'm not even a doctor.
Too ritzy for me. Jeez. Might as well start eating caviar with your caveats.
Yeah. Not eating caviar. Anyway, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I think you're totally dead on. I think that the only thing that's stopping Christian Watson is his relationship with Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
And, Aaron Rodgers is one of those dudes that it could get really, maybe it is Allen Lazard, like I still think that, I don't think that this is a set in stone one for sure, but I do think that over time, Christian Watson probably is the best bet for taking over the wide receiver one role. And I would be careful for anybody that's looking at this situation at predicting the wide receiver one role to be what it was when Devontae Adams was there.
Yep.
the wide receiver one is not what Devontae Adams was in this offense. Like Christian Watson ain't getting 170 targets.
No.
Like, let's chill out here with these like target vacuums. And well, we're just going to give all the targets to Christian Watson. That's not how it works, people. Like, it's going to start spreading out a little bit more. I don't know if I can say it that way, but we're just going to go with it. I can't even fix it. I wanted to say the ball is spreading out. Now it's even worse.
Now it's awkward. Now you made it awkward.
It's just, Jake, we need to end this video.
Okay. Well, on that note, let us know what you think down below in the comment section. How do you feel about these incoming rookies replacing these quote unquote vets on their current teams? How do you see it playing out? Are there any of these names that you're overly excited about? Leave those comments down below. You know, the doc is always out there looking for the doc emoji. So if you got them, make sure you drop them in the chat. If you paid attention throughout the video, you also know what hashtag needs to go down below in the comment section to have a chance at a free draft guide. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's show. Me and the doc are going to go ahead and get out of here before he says something even more awkward, because usually it's me saying the awkward things. The fact that you did it, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. I'm actually, I'm like a proud father right now. But we're going to go ahead and end the show here for the day. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week. It's okay, Doc. We'll talk to you guys later. I'm a headliner.